Welcome to the MLMsuccess.com podcast, the show designed to return the network marketing industry to its roots of personal growth, leadership development, and wisdom of the ages success principles. We share with you real success stories from real people that we hope will inspire and encourage you personally and help you progress forward in your business and your life. We believe if you build people, people will build the business. Now here is your host, who has been called the number one mind in network marketing, the MLM prophet, network marketing virtual mentor, and a host of other names that we will not mention because this is a family show. Frankly, he's just a small town guy that figured out that the real product in network marketing is people. Dale Calvert.
Those of you that are listeners of our No Fluff Network Marketing Leadership Development podcast, which is also available wherever you're listening to this particular session of the MLM Success podcast, those of you that do listen to the No Fluff, you probably heard the story of Dr. Dan Moore. If you haven't, I would highly recommend that you listen to that. It's actually session 91 over at No Fluff. He's the first person that I heard the statement from that the last 10% of your efforts give you 90% of your results. Dan is one of the hardest working entrepreneurs I've ever met in my life. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him and his entire family, his mom and brother and their spouses. I mean, it's just a phenomenal family. And since 1998, Dan has operated a business called The Natural Vet, thenaturalvet.com, which is a well-known pet supply, natural pet supply products for pets, and very well known in the horse world. And, you know, it's easy to find a lot of people today, whether on social media, podcasts, wherever, that talk the talk a lot. However, I can tell you that Dr. Dan and his family were very important in the launch and the success of NII when we launched that business. He not just talks the talk, he walks the walk. He'll never know the respect that I have for him. And it's sincerely an honor to share this session with our podcast listeners. Dr. Dan Moore, the last 10% of your effort produces 90% of your results.
And now to introduce Dr. Dan Moore from Salem, Indiana. Here is National Director Anna Watts.
Our next speaker for this afternoon is a Founders Club member. He's an Eagle Award winner, a top money earner. He's an ex-veterinarian. He owned 2 veterinarian hospitals, and he gave it all up, and he's now working full-time with New Image. He practices what he preaches, and if you ever need any help, he'll help you. He always has a smile on his face, and he's a very, very good friend of mine. Help me welcome from Utica, Tennessee, National Director, Dr. Dan Moore.
I mean, we get here the first day and we get a raise. The second day we go fishing with Phil. Man, what a conference. Unbelievable. But I'm here to tell you, folks, the party's over. Time to go to work. Time to go to work. How's that sound? It is. I'm like Sean. I'm ready to go home and go to work. Let me ask you something. The last 10% of what? Your efforts work, right? W-O-R-K. Yes, it is a 4-letter word, and yes, we have to do it. But the last 10% of your efforts will give you what? Y'all are so smart. 90% of your results. We're talking about the whole enchilada here. The pie in the sky, the ball in the wax. Do you want it? I do love it. Oh, I love it. What is the last 10%? It's when you have done all you can do. I mean, you've given it 100%. I mean, there's nothing left. You are so tired you can't stand it. You've been rode hard and put up wet. That's what we're talking about here. And then you do a little more. You do a little more. That's the key to this business, folks. A little more. Just do a little more. How much? How many percent? 10%. That's right. It was the key to our success. 10%, just a little bit more. 10% more was the key to our success. No question about it. And guess what? It's the key to your success. No question about it. I was looking at these nationals that came across this stage last night. And you know, at least three of them I'd already given up on. True. But it was that last 10% of our efforts that really got them going again. I mean, I was through with them. I mean, literally. Right, Nate? I had given up on Nate. And so I won't mention the rest of them, but they know who they are. I was tired. I had done all I could do. And I did just a little bit more. I made one more phone call or said one more thing, did one more thing. Gosh, Arnold, we almost didn't even go see him the first time. The weather was bad and we almost went somewhere else. But we decided to fit it in just to get there and to talk to him when he was first coming into business. The last 10%, I promise you without a doubt, is the key to your success. See, it's always been this way. Throughout history, the last 10% is what gets you what you want out of life. The last 10%, just getting by is average. Average people don't get nothing, right? Bad grammar, I know, but that's the truth. I mean, average people, when the going gets tough, they quit, right? They quit. They don't get it. They stop. They go home. They watch TV. They don't give it that last little bit. And if you don't give it that last little bit, you're just going to be average for the rest of your life. It's the difference between mediocrity and having that pie in the sky. No question. No question. It's a magic number. 10% is a magic number. You see, you want to get to the top of that mountain, right? Well, you can get there if you keep your eye on the top of that mountain and if you work it hard and if you do that last 10%. See, right here, let me ask you something. How many have heard Kim and Steve Hicks's story? Yeah. You know what? They gave it the last 10%. This is a 10% maybe you didn't even think about here. I know they gave when they didn't have any to give. They gave to their church, right? 10% tithe, another 10%. See, that's part of the magic here. It's given from in here when you don't have it. And if you don't tithe, then a charity. Imagine what you can do with 10%. If all of us gave 10% more, what could we do in this world? Unbelievable. But see, it's got to come from here. It's given when you don't have any more. It's when you're wore out, when you're finished, and somehow, some way you just reach down in and you get just a little bit more and you lay it on the table or you give it to somebody. See, the only way you're going to get anything in life is to give. I mean, so many people just expect to have. The way to have is to give. The more you give, the more service you provide, the more from your heart that goes out, the more you're going to have. No question about that. Next slide, please. See, 10% can work miracles. The extra 10% more can work miracles beyond belief. Look what it's doing here. Look what it did last night with those testimonies. Holy mackerel. Can you imagine if you shared this product with just 10% more people? How many more healthy people we could have in this world? Think about this opportunity here, sharing this people with 10% more. If we had 10% more here, how big a conference would we have? Much bigger, right? If we all just do 10% more, I think we can make a difference not only within this company, within this country, but the entire world. No question. And it's up to you guys. Works miracles, no question about it. What would you do if you were the richest man in Babylon? Most people, if they get wealthy, if they get rich, I hate to even talk about money, but most people, when they get rich, they just do more of what they already are anyway. Why not go ahead and get rich? Anybody got a problem with that? This book will help you, by the way. I put that up there to remind me of it. How many's read that book? Awesome book, folks. If you haven't read it, I suggest you go right now to the bookstore as soon as it's over today. It costs $5.95. Pick it up, read it. It will change your financial future. Some of y'all agree, right? Yeah, it's an awesome book. One thing it talks about, too, is saving 10%. See, we all have a tendency to spend all we make, right? I mean, that's the way it is. We spend all we make. My son came down here with $22 in his pocket. Guess what? He spent $22. I think he's got 50 cents left already. Only 50 cents, but we all spend all we make. The way to get ahead is to pay yourself first. I know it's hard to do, but sometimes you got to trick yourself into it. This book talks about it, but it's just that another factor, another way to look at 10%. 10% can make you financially free if you will put 10% back every month. It will. Imagine, however old you are now, imagine if you'd have just put 10% back all your life of what you've earned. Where would you be? You would probably be the richest man in the world, wouldn't you? 10%, it's a magical number, folks. I'm telling you, it's magic. So how much more you got to do? 10%. Good. But how do you really know? How do you know when you've done that 10% more? How do you know? See, you can count the money. You can count that. You know when you got 10% more in your checking account. But how do you really know when you've done 10% more in this business, when your efforts have increased 10%? The point system. It all comes back to numbers. You've heard it over and over and over again. It's the point system. You are guaranteed success with the point system if you'll make sure that every week you have more points than you had the week before. Simple, right? But don't wait till the end of the week to record your points. Record them every day. Most of us do too little, too late. We wait till the end of the week. We write our points down. We look at them. It's either good or bad, usually not good. But if you keep up with it throughout the week, you can compare to where you were the week before. And you can do 10% more. Right? How much you going to do? Oh, man, y'all good. 10% more, folks. That's all we ask. 10% more every week. And you will and are guaranteed success with this company. But how do you really know? How do you really know? How do you really know when you've done 10% more? You know it in here. You know it in here, don't you? Some of y'all are shaking your head. You know when you've done 10% more. You know when you've given it your all and there's nothing left. And you pick up that phone and you make that last call to somebody that you really don't want to talk to or that you're afraid of. You know when you go to that last meeting that you don't really want to go to, but you go anyway. And you feel good about it, don't you? Yeah. Do you want to feel good or lousy? Then do how much? 10% more. You know, folks. You really know. You know when it hurts. When it hurts. When it hurts, you know you've done it. I mean, that's just the way it is. When you've got, you see, If there's no pain, there's no gain. This is a great, fun business, but if you don't hurt a little bit along the way doing this business, you're not going to get anywhere. You've heard it from Ron, you've heard it from everyone here. You've got to sacrifice. You've got to give up something. You've got to go that extra mile. When it hurts, you've done what you need to do. Until it's hurting, don't stop. Get tired, get frustrated, take a nap, but go back to work and give it just a little bit more. Okay? You see, all roads to success are uphill. Uphill, one step at a time. You take those steps, see, the problem is you got to keep your eye on the mountain, though, because if you start looking down, what's going to happen? You're going to fall. You got to keep your eye on that mountain. When you keep your eye on that mountain and you take it one step at a time, 10% more each time, you're going to get to the top, right? It's easy to roll back. It's easy to roll down the hill. We're constantly rolling back a little bit and getting up and taking one step at a time, 10% more step at a time, all the way to the top. Do you want to go to the top? Yeah! I want you to go to the top. I want you to get there. I want you to get there more than you want to get there, probably. This leadership wants you to get there more than you want to get there. That's why we want you to do how much more? 10% more. 10% more will get you your rainbow. It'll get you your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Do you want it? Are you going to get it? How much more? Are you ready? How much again? I love you guys. Thank you.
Let me ask you a question. I try to ask myself every day, could you be working harder on your business? See, only you know the answer to that. I do as well. I try to not waste 10 minutes in any day at any given time. The other question I'd like for you to think about, because some of you really need to think about this if you expect to move forward in your business, and that question is, can work ethic be developed? Can work ethic be developed? Because I absolutely believe that it can be. I sincerely do. And there's no question that a lot of people that listen and are involved in the network marketing business model and other businesses just need to put more time in their craft, put more time into what they're doing. A lot of people listen to this podcast. The only difference between you and a lot of the people that you hear about and a lot of people that you hear in your company and on these podcasts is they've been there longer. You know, I heard someone say that your work ethic defines your character. I kind of like that. I think that's pretty good. I heard someone else said, you know, you should never get upset with the results that you don't get from the work that you didn't do. I think that was Art Williams. You should never get upset with the results you don't get from the work you didn't do. That's powerful. That's powerful. I'm going to share one other thing just as we wrap up today, because I think this is something else. This is the yang. I talk about there's a yin and yang to everything, and this is definitely the yin. And, you know, today we hear a lot about work-life balance, and I understand that and appreciate that. And, you know, I think that's something that we all should pay attention to, but we have to do what makes sense for us. But there's a lot of people that, you know, again, they're complaining about the results they don't get from the work that they never do. And, you know, complaining is just never a good idea, no matter what you're doing or not doing. But here's one thing I want you to just think about today. And this is something that I'll probably explore more in the future and probably talk about more in the future. But I just wanted to kind of plant the seed today for you and for me. And that question would be, does work ethic, hard work, distort vision? Does hard work distort vision? And I am starting to believe that it does. So then I have to stop and think, well, why do people have such a strong work ethic? Because for me, the vision creates the work ethic, I think. But the question is, does hard work distort vision? And why I say that is I see so many hardworking individuals in and out of business. I mean, it's like there's people that work in 10, 12-hour days on their job. If they would work 8 and then devote the other 4 or 5 to their business, what could they accomplish? Why would they not do that? Why would they not do that? It's not work ethic. And then I see a lot of people involved in network marketing that are involved and working hard, I mean really hard, with companies that have limited and companies and opportunities that have very limited upside potential when compared to what they may be focusing on. And in my estimation, the smarter they are intellectually, the more it seems that they do this. I mean, I as I sit here and I talk, I'm thinking of a lot of people that I know in the profession, very intellectual, very intelligent, that are spending an enormous amount of time, energy, and effort with network marketing opportunities that have very limited, compared to others, upside potential. And not just in this profession. I see it in a lot of different businesses. And I have to stop and ask myself, why are they working so hard? Have they ever stopped and thought, where is this going to take me? Where does this have the potential to take me if I continue to do what I've been doing, the way I've been doing it over the next 5 years? And I talk a lot about trends, and I believe in trends. As if you listen to this podcast, any at all, I believe that you catch the wave, you get in front of the wave, you catch the trend. I've always believed that. But and I would love feedback on this question, by the way. I would love feedback on this question. Does hard work distort vision? It's kind of interesting. It is to me. Is it to you? I'd love your feedback, because I can tell you without question that hard work to me, it's just a given. Of course you're going to have to work hard. This is not the lottery. Of course you got to work hard. Of course you got to get through the numbers. If you expect to win, now you can participate and you can get in the stands and get, in the auditorium, or get into the gym, or get on the baseball field and get up in the stands and watch people playing the game. You might even get as close to as sitting on the bench. But if you're going to win the game, you got to, you got to play the game. And that requires work ethic. I've said many, many, many years ago after I first started, and I believe this, the two realities that slapped me in the face when I first started in this profession is, number one, people lie. They tell you they're going to be there. They tell you they're going to do something. They have no intentions of ever doing it. It was astounding to me. To me, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do everything I can to fulfill what I said I would do, period. That's period. No matter what. But the number of people that just, think instead of being upfront and being truthful and just saying, hey, timing's not right for me, or that product's not right for me, they will put you off by telling you what they think you want to hear, which is the opposite of what I've always wanted to hear. I just want you to tell me the truth. I don't ever want people to tell me what they think I want to hear. I can handle it. Just tell me the truth. I don't waste my time or yours because it's the most valuable asset that we have. Just tell me the truth. But the work ethic that people lie, and number two, the other reality that hit me early in my career is the work ethic. The work ethic in general, is especially in the United States, maybe, I don't know. I haven't been in other countries enough to really make a blanket statement, but the work ethic in general stinks. I heard somebody say one time that employees have this very non-productive relationship where employees are going to work just hard enough that they don't get fired, and employers are going to pay them just enough so they don't quit. How is production going to come from that equation? So I hope you enjoyed this session from Dr. Dan Moore. There's very few people that in my life that I have met and spent time with that I respect as much as I do him and his family, and it was a pleasure to present this session to you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you know Dan, let him know that you enjoyed it. If you have pets, check out The Natural Vet. Is it thenaturalvet.com? Is that what I said? I think we'll put it in the show notes. I think it's thenaturalvet.com. Dr. Dan Moore, the one and only. I hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate your feedback. We'll talk to you next week on another session of the MLMsuccess.com podcast. And you can go over to MLMsuccess.com if you want to, and you can see all the other sessions that we have for you guys. Have a great one. We'll talk to you next week.
If you haven't gone over to iTunes yet and rated and left this podcast a review, what are you waiting for? At Calvert Marketing Group, we want to spend our time on the projects that we know are providing the most value for our clients and customers. You leaving us a review and feedback on iTunes is something that helps us more than you realize. And more importantly, it helps others like you find us. So if you've not taken the time to rate this podcast, please go over to iTunes and do that for us now. It will only take a couple of minutes out of your busy schedule. Work harder on yourself than you do on your business, and we will be back next week with another inspiring success story, wisdom of the ages training, or answers to your questions.